The invitation arrived 3 weeks before my twins' 7th birthday. My sister Jennifer had organized a joint celebration at the community center, combining it with her daughter's 8th birthday. "It'll be so much easier," she'd explained over the phone. "We can split everything 50-50. I should have known better. Jennifer had always been the golden child in our family. She married a dentist, lived in the nice part of town, and made sure everyone knew about her perfect life. Meanwhile, I was the single mom who worked 2 jobs to keep my kids fed and clothed. Our parents had made it clear who they favored, but I'd stopped caring about that years ago. My kids were happy, healthy, and loved. That was enough. When Jennifer suggested the joint party, I agreed because the twins were excited. They adored their cousin, and the idea of a big celebration thrilled them. Jennifer said she'd handle decorations and I could bring the food. Simple enough. I spent the entire week before the party cooking. I took 2 days off work, which I couldn't really afford, but I wanted this to be special. I started Monday evening with the shopping trip, carefully comparing prices at 3 different stores to stretch my budget. The pasta ingredients alone cost $150. The chicken tenders required 2 whole packages of premium chicken breast. The vegetables for the trays needed to be fresh and colorful, which meant another $80 at the farmer's market. Tuesday and Wednesday I worked my regular shifts, then came home to prep ingredients. I chopped vegetables until my hands ached, grated cheese until my arms were sore, and mixed marinara sauce in my largest pot. My kids helped where they could, washing vegetables and stirring sauces under my supervision. Thursday I took my first day off and spent 14 hours cooking. 3 trays of lasagna, each one requiring careful layering of pasta, ricotta mixture, meat sauce, and mozzarella. 2 huge pans of baked ziti because I knew kids would love it. Chicken tenders breaded and ready to fry the morning of the party. A massive Caesar salad with homemade dressing and fresh Parmesan. Garlic bread wrapped and waiting. Fruit platters with strawberries, melon, grapes, and pineapple arranged beautifully. Vegetable trays with carrots, celery, bell peppers, and homemade ranch dip. And 2 dozen cupcakes, half chocolate and half vanilla, each one decorated with rainbow sprinkles. Friday I took my second day off to finish the cupcakes and do a final inventory. I'd spent over $900 on ingredients, which represented nearly 2 weeks of groceries for my family. But seeing my kids' faces when I showed them everything made it worthwhile. They kept sneaking into the kitchen to peek at the cupcakes, asking every hour if they could try just one. The morning of the party, I loaded everything into my car with the help of my neighbor. It took 4 trips to get it all into the community center kitchen. The lasagna trays alone were heavy enough that I needed help carrying them. I arrived at noon for a 2 o'clock party, wanting plenty of time to set up properly. I spent an hour arranging the food tables, setting up the chafing dishes I'd borrowed from my workplace, making sure everything looked professional. I created little labels for each dish, positioned the cupcakes on a tiered stand I'd rented, and arranged the fruit platters in an attractive display. I'd even brought my own tablecloths because I wanted it to look special. Jennifer arrived at 1:30 with store-bought decorations and a single cake from the grocery bakery. She had 2 bags of balloons, a happy birthday banner, and some streamers. The cake was a standard sheet cake with generic "Happy Birthday" written in blue icing. "Oh wow, you really went all out," she said, eyeing the food spread I'd created. "That's perfect because I didn't have time to cook anything. I've been so busy with the planning and organizing." I noticed she didn't offer to help finish setting up. She disappeared to hang her decorations, leaving me to complete the food preparation alone. I had to fry the chicken tenders fresh, toss the salad, warm the garlic bread, and make sure everything was at the right temperature. I felt the first flutter of unease but pushed it down. This was for the kids. The party started at 2. By 2:15, 50 people had shown up. I recognized maybe 10 of them. The rest were Jennifer's friends from her yoga studio, her husband's colleagues, and neighbors from their subdivision. None of them had brought gifts for my twins. All the presents piled on the gift table had her daughter's name on them. My kids noticed. I watched their faces fall as they counted the presents, realizing none were theirs. I pulled them aside and promised we'd have our own special celebration at home. They nodded, trying to be brave, but I could see the hurt in their eyes. The food tables opened at 2:30. I'd arranged everything beautifully with the hot dishes in chafing dishes I'd borrowed from my workplace. The kids rushed forward, including my twins. They'd been so excited about the party they'd barely eaten lunch. I was standing near the beverage station when I heard Jennifer's voice cut through the noise. Sophia, Emma, that's enough. My twins froze, plates half filled with pasta and chicken tenders. Jennifer swooped in and took their plates. Your kids have had enough, she announced loudly enough for nearby parents to hear. Save it for my precious ones. There are other children who need to eat. I walked over slowly, keeping my voice calm. They just started eating, Jen. They're hungry. They can eat at home, she said dismissively. This food needs to last for everyone, and honestly they don't need as much as the other kids. Look at them, they're already chubby. My 7-year-old daughter's lip trembled. My son stared at the floor. Neither of them was remotely overweight. They were healthy, active kids. Several parents had stopped talking and were watching us. Jennifer's daughter stood behind her mother, her own plate piled high with food, a smug expression on her face. I brought this food, Jennifer, I said quietly. Exactly. You brought it for the party. For everyone. Not just your kids. She turned to the other children clustered around. Come on, sweeties. Get your food before it's gone. Kids rushed forward, encouraged by their parents who'd overheard that everything was fair game. I watched my twins step back, clutching their empty plates as other children loaded up on the food I'd spent a week preparing. Jennifer handed her daughter a second plate. Make sure you get plenty, sweetheart. You're the birthday girl. I made my decision in that moment. You're absolutely right, I said, my voice steady. This food should be for everyone. Jennifer smiled triumphantly, not catching the edge in my tone. I walked to the kitchen and grabbed the empty boxes and containers I'd brought. Then I returned to the food table and began packing everything up. The lasagna, the ziti, the chicken tenders, the salads, the cupcakes. Everything. What are you doing? Jennifer demanded. Taking my food home, I said calmly. You said the kids had enough, so I'm making sure everyone has equal access to what they brought. Her face went red. You can't do that. People are eating. People can eat what you brought, I replied, continuing to pack. Where's your food contribution? She sputtered, gesturing at the grocery store cake. I brought decorations in the cake and organized everything. And I brought $900 worth of food that you just told my children they couldn't eat. I sealed another container. So I'm taking it home where my chubby kids can enjoy it. The room had gone quiet. Parents stood with plates in hand watching. Some of them looked uncomfortable. Others looked angry, but not at me. They were glaring at Jennifer. One mother I didn't know spoke up. You told her kids they couldn't eat the food their mother brought? They'd already had some, Jennifer lied quickly. I was just making sure there was enough for everyone. They had empty plates, another parent said. I saw you take them. Jennifer's husband appeared at her elbow, his face tight with embarrassment. Maybe we should discuss this privately. Nothing to discuss, I said, loading the last container into a box. I'm leaving. Kids, get your things. My twins scrambled to grab their jackets. They helped me carry boxes to the car, making 3 trips while the party guests stood in awkward silence. The food table sat empty except for Jennifer's grocery store cake and some chips another parent had apparently brought. As I loaded the last box, I heard Jennifer trying to salvage the situation. We'll order pizza, everyone. My treat. I strapped my kids into their seats and checked my phone. Already 3 text messages. By the time I pulled out of the parking lot, there were 8. The messages came from numbers I didn't recognize at first. Then I realized they were other parents from the party. They'd gotten my number from the party invitation Jennifer had sent out. Did you really bring all that food? Can you send me your lasagna recipe? I'm so sorry about what happened. Then came the messages asking if I was okay, if my kids were okay. Then messages from parents who'd apparently planned to stay for dinner and were upset the food was gone. By the time I got home 20 minutes later, I had 63 messages. Most were supportive. Some were asking what happened. A few were angry at Jennifer for creating the scene. 3 were from Jennifer herself, each more frantic than the last. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You ruined my daughter's birthday. Mom and Dad are furious with you. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I reheated some lasagna and set up a proper birthday dinner for my twins at our kitchen table. I'd saved their birthday cake, the one I'd made special with their favorite characters. We sang happy birthday. We ate until we were full. We were happy. My phone kept buzzing. I turned it off. The The next morning I had voicemails from my parents, from Jennifer, from her husband, even from some of her friends. I deleted them without listening. But I did read the text messages because some of them were interesting. Apparently, when I left with all the food, Jennifer had promised to order pizza. She called 3 pizza places. All of them had minimum 2-hour waits because it was Saturday evening. The party guests, hungry and annoyed, had started leaving. Within an hour of my departure, the party was over. Jennifer's daughter had cried because her birthday party didn't have any food, and her friends left early. Jennifer had tried to blame me, but several parents had apparently witnessed the entire exchange and defended me. According to one detailed message from a mom who'd become outraged on my behalf, Jennifer had been forced to admit she'd expected me to provide all the food and hadn't prepared any backup plan. The community center manager had called Jennifer at 7 that evening asking for the $50 facility fee. Jennifer had assumed I was splitting it. I wasn't. I'd never agreed to split anything except food responsibilities, which I'd fulfilled. She'd had to pay the full amount. But the real consequence came Monday morning. Jennifer was part of a mother's group that met weekly at a local cafe. 25 women, all posting constantly on social media about their perfect lives and their wonderful children. According to a message from one of the members who'd been at the party, Jennifer had been asked not to return to the group. The other mothers had compared notes and realized Jennifer had a pattern of taking advantage of people's generosity while contributing minimally herself. Her yoga studio friends had apparently witnessed similar behavior. She'd been organizing a charity fundraiser and had volunteered several people to bake items without asking them first. The party incident was the final straw. They politely but firmly removed her from the planning committee. My parents called again. This time I answered. "How could you humiliate your sister like that?" my mother demanded. "She told my kids they were too fat to eat the food I'd spent a week cooking," I said calmly. "She took food off their plates at their own birthday party." Silence. "She said you overreacted," my father said finally. "Ask the 50 other people who were there," I replied. "I'm sure they'll tell you exactly what happened." I hung up before they could respond. Over the next week, I received apologies from several parents who'd witnessed the incident. 2 of them invited my twins to their children's upcoming birthday parties. One offered to bring dinner to my house as a solidarity meal. I politely declined but appreciated the gesture. Jennifer sent one final message. "You've turned everyone against me. I hope you're happy." I didn't respond because the answer was complicated. I wasn't happy she'd embarrassed herself. I wasn't happy our relationship was probably permanently damaged. But I was happy I'd stood up for my kids. I was happy I'd shown them they didn't have to accept being treated poorly, even by family. The twins asked why we weren't seeing Aunt Jennifer anymore. I told them simply that Aunt Jennifer had hurt our feelings and needed time to think about her behavior. They accepted this with the easy resilience of children and moved on to more important topics, like whether they could have lasagna for dinner again. I still have most of that food in my freezer. Every time I heat some up, I remember the looks on my kids' faces when they realized I was taking it all home. Not embarrassment. Not sadness. Pride. Their mom had stood up for them. And that was worth more than any party could ever be. 2 months later, I heard through mutual acquaintances that Jennifer had started therapy. I hoped it helped her. I genuinely did. But I also knew that until she was ready to apologize sincerely, not just for embarrassing herself but for hurting my children, we wouldn't be speaking. My twins had a small party with their actual friends the following weekend. We had pizza, games, and the leftover cupcakes. It was simple, cheap, and filled with genuine laughter. Nobody took food off anyone's plate. And that made it perfect.